Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L and we're finally here to the final chapter of Hero Academia, apparently. Don't know, we'll read something later. There was an announcement. We are expecting massive announcements for the Hero Academia universe. We don't know what's going to be at the moment of the recording of this video. I looked around, I've only got the announcement. I don't know if there's anything else, so apologies if there is something else, I missed it. But Hero Academia chapter 430. Okay, so you're probably really curious about the title I probably went with, something about Izuku's flaws. Well, this is going to be pretty much our final time actually having a deep dive on Hero Academia, so should definitely go hard on it, right? I think I really do have a good argument here. I think it's a convincing argument. I think, honestly, especially in the presence of a sequel series, I think it's very likely that this is all intentional, but let's just get into it. So, if we're being honest, this is the single most important thing when we're building the argument of who Izuku is. So I'm going to put this down the way I see it, alright? In this chapter, Izuku is in a negative position. And negative position is just, you understand by the words, not positive. In the chapter, you even have Izuku saying he's sad and all that kind of stuff. But the negative position is exemplified by the fact that you need All Might to tell Izuku you've earned this power fair and square, and it's also exemplified by the fact that you have Bakugo holding out his hand, pulling Izuku along. See, Izuku in this chapter is pretty much who he was at the beginning of the series. He is a guy that has just crippling self-esteem issues and crippling self-worth issues, and they are still here. Everything about Izuku is still so consistent, and it makes sense that this was never really tackled or resolved because it wasn't tackled in the series. This hasn't been fixed. Nothing about Izuku's problems have been fixed. The only person that got really close to it was Bakugo. But what can Bakugo do when Izuku has All Might in his life anyway? That's the negative position that Izuku is in. The reality is, Izuku has horrible self-worth issues. He is the kind of person that when his quirk gets taken away, or when his quirk disappears, he accepts it and tries to find something else to do. He's the kind of person that when Night Eye goes up to him and tells him, hey, you don't deserve that quirk, Mirio deserves it, Izuku will try and give the quirk to Mirio because he actually buys into it. He's the kind of person that when Spinner calls him a murderer, he's going to accept it. That's because that's who Izuku is fundamentally. That has never changed. I really cannot stress how significant and how important it is that Izuku needed people helping him here to become a hero again. Because the flat reality is, Izuku is not self-motivated. He is not the kind of person that is going to fix his own problems. He's just going to accept whatever comes his way, and he's not really going to do much about it. The thing is, no one can really argue against that, because you don't get to the ending of this chapter without that fact being true. I think playing the comparison game for this one helps the argument a bit more. I'm going to compare with Shinzo. I'm going to give you something that I think is a fact. Shinzo wants to be a hero more than Izuku does. I think that is a fact. Why does Shinzo want to be a hero more than Izuku does? Because he hit setbacks and he kept trying until he got it. He learned how to use Aizawa's capture tape so that he could be a better hero, so that he could actually get his spot in the class. He actually had to go through a lot of heck, but Izuku? No, not at all. And I know people ask a question why did it take 8 years for Izuku to get a power suit when All Might got his power suit in 1 year, considering also he plagiarized the powers of 20 people? But there's no real point in asking that because Horikoshi wanted to get Izuku to the 8-year point. And it's just there to illustrate that Izuku really wasn't going to do anything about his situation in life. The reality is, right, let's be honest about this. If Izuku really wanted to be a hero, he could have been a hero. If Izuku really wanted to, he could have gone and learned how to use Aizawa's capture tape. If he really wanted to, he could have gone and teamed up with Ojiro. Ojiro, before he even got trained at UA, was able to do hit and run tactics against a mob of villains. And how did he do that? Just with sheer skill. Izuku could have benefited from it. Heck, put some armor on Izuku. You don't have to be very fancy about it. The reality is, Izuku could be a hero without a quirk. Heck man, you give him some basic armor, give him some level of skill, and give him capture tape, and he's doing better than Ojiro just by specs, he has more defense than Ojiro. And it's stuff like that that makes it even, it's just so blatant. And look, if there's people out there saying yo bro, no, he can't be a hero without a quirk. First off, the ending of the whole thing invalidates that perspective. And secondly, you gotta really go back to the person that's the antithesis of Izuku. That being Night Eye and Mirio. They are the antithesis. Night Eye was a person whose quirk only worked for 1 hour a day. For 23 hours, he was quirkless. Excuse the change in lighting. Little bird wanted to go play with his friend, so I had to move it around. Anyway, I was saying like Night Eye and Mirio. Night Eye, when he doesn't have his quirk, all he had left were abs of steel and superpower stamps. So my point is, like, you can be a hero without a quirk. And really, with the power level of the Hero Academia universe, only a few bits of equipment is all you really need to like really hit the high level of power. So when it comes back to Izuku, the question is like, why didn't you try? And the answer is just Izuku has this idea of what kind of hero he wants to be, and when he can't get that idea, he just gives up. That's who Izuku is. Here's the fact. Izuku gave up on being a hero. You can't even argue against that because it's true. And I mean hero with a capital H because he's an AU, or like, you know, he's definitely a hero. Like, if honestly, also I want to know what happened to like the whole thing about the billboard. I thought that was going to be celebrated here. So that's why I think, looking at it, this Izuku that we see here, this is the same Izuku that thought that that trying to vomit fire breath or like pointing his hand at some toy in the corner to make it float was the equivalent of trying hard. It's the same Izuku. Nothing has changed in that regard when it comes to this character. Now, is this bad writing? No, I don't think so. I think this is actually incredibly consistent. Interesting choice for a manga ending where you want to have your main character who's given up on himself have to be helped. Like, I really cannot understate how significant it is that Bakugo is extending his hand to Izuku. Because that is always the you need help gesture in Hero Academia. That gesture by itself is so significant. Bro, like, look at how often people like were holding hands in this epilogue chapter, right, man? Like, that's the universal help a wounded person gesture in Hero Academia. Anyway, it's really consistent. It's really consistent with who Izuku is from the beginning of the story till now, and this has never been something that was resolved. Izuku always had a really bad self-worth issue. It's why you go into Dark Izuku arc. And here we are. Now, because, again, it's so consistent, I say it's really good writing. Because, like, this just... Horikoshi knows who his character is, and I think he knows that he did nothing to address Izuku's underlying problems. Now, where it gets interesting, like, if there is no follow-up to this, then this is, like... I think he should have just flubbed it and just made Izuku have a good life, right? I personally don't care about Izuku being quirkless. You know, I kind of wish we had a little bit of one for all power, but I don't personally care. I'm actually way more offended about Izuku being such a... Like, look, this isn't... You should not be the kind of person that seeks external validation. This is bad. Don't be like Izuku in this regard. This is not good. Izuku should not be relying on other people to make his life better. Like, no, man. No. Like, Izuku should be doing it by his own volition. The same way Mirio did it. The same way, like, heck, you know why people like Asta from Black Clover? Because Asta did it. Asta put in the work. It didn't matter how many people told Asta that he was never going to be a hero. He did it, right? Like, that's the difference between Izuku and Asta. But we got comments here. So, according to Audrey from Twitter, there's news coming out on August 5th, 6 p.m. JST via Twitter. And in Japan right now, it's 11:31 at the time of my recording. So that's something. Anyway, it says, Deku and the others are unstoppable. Although the Hero Academia manga is ending, Deku and the heroes are far from finished. Stay tuned for a huge punch of what's to come. So specifically, like, Izuku and the heroes are far from finished. That's what it makes me hopeful. I'm really hoping that we get a follow-up by the Durarara author, like they did for Bleach, because like that author knows how to handle big casts, and that would be amazing. But, you know, that'd be really cool. The reason that Izuku's flaws still being there is significant in the context of an expansion project is because, let's face it, Izuku, with this kind of crippling self-worth issue, that writes itself. Imagine, you're a hero without a quirk. Imagine how many people are gonna like make comments at Izuku about that. Like, honestly, with how bad Izuku is here, this is just like ripe. This is ripe material. It writes itself. Izuku's crippling self-worth in a world of superpowered heroics, right? Heck, you can even play up the technology angle. And you can even play up the whole thing about you earn this power fair and square. See, the thing is, if you're going to do a continuation series, and if it's going to be like an actual well thought out continuation series, leaving Izuku there with some flaw just gives you something to work on in the series. It's like low hanging fruit. That's pretty much what it is. So in the context of a sequel series, this is a really good move. It's really strategic. It gives you some filler material while you work to whatever it's going to be Izuku's like critical thing that he has to work on for the series. But it really depends on whether or not Izuku's going to be the one being followed in the series. I think it should be. Like, really, someone made a good point too. Like, they didn't really talk about the pairings, and that makes sense if you're going to be going into the adult era for Izuku and them. Yeah, it writes itself. That's why you leave it up in the air like that. Although, like, I really hope it's not up in the air. I'm gonna give you a hot take that it's not up in the air at all. Like, there is a clear winner here. But yeah, that's the overall argument for me. Izuku still has all his critical flaws in place. Izuku is in a losing position in the chapter. That's why he has to be saved. And yeah, that's why he has to be told that he earned the power fair and square. All Might smart. He has to tell that to Izuku because Izuku's not going to take it. Because Izuku is that kind of person. It's so consistent. It's beautiful. I'm offended because it's just the logical thing to do. But I wish you weren't doing the logical thing, man. Like, I'm also a fan. I want Izuku to have a happy life. But yeah, it's an interesting maneuver that makes more sense in the case of a sequel series or sequel material. If we don't get that, wow, then this is wild. This is just Horikoshi honest. He is true to his craft. All right, friends, let's do a proper thing. I'm not really, there's no point. That's actually the most critical detail. Everything else here isn't that important. There's a lot of parallels to the first chapter. Those parallels to the first chapter might also be the thing that made Izuku be put into a negative position on this chapter. But there's parallels to the first chapter. You can really appreciate that. You know what Horikoshi is trying to do. You get why things are happening the way they are. You see what you get to see that Izuku is still Izuku largely at the end of the day. There's little things here and there. We're really just going to be pointing out little things here and there because they're really cute. That's what we're going to be doing for this final official Hero Academia chapter review 430. Let's get into it. I'm super excited. So here, you know why this is happening. People are not born equal. That's one of the lines that we started the series with. So of course you have to do it again. This time we have an elaboration of everything. It's cool to see Kota here. I think that's adorable. Now this is the kid that actually was one of the first, like, oh, that's cool, Horikoshi. I'm pretty sure this is the kid that had his mouth sewn shut. So he got into UA. That's actually really cute and adorable. Like, way to go. That's awesome. I'm assuming it's him because he has the scars from just being stitched up, right? Why else would he have that? So that's really cool. I think super cool. Like, that's a good touch. Worth pointing out that we're also going to USJ. Just a nice thing here. So wonderful that we do not know who Izuku's father is. Now, I'm actually starting to wonder if Horikoshi actually ever said anything about Hisashi during that one interview that was quoted everywhere online. I'm wondering if that's even true. But let's go quickly through these little images. So we have Izuku over here. We have them doing exams. We have Mirko still in the game. Eri never healed her. We have Gran Torino outliving all the villains pretty much at this point. We have the second sports festival. Those two guys are still doing their best. This is a really cute shot down here. Eri and Kota, come on. I shouldn't say I hope they get together, but it's super cute and adorable. Come on, man. We have those guys. I'm sad that we didn't get any more follow-up on this. And I guess that's on that note. I'm very sad that some things just don't seem conclusive here. Like Kirishima and Mina. I feel like they're the ones who deserve some kind of follow-up or ending. Because there's a clear hierarchy in the class, right? It's Bakugo, Izuku, Todoroki. After that, you have the main secondary characters. Ida, one of Izuku's greatest friends. Ochako, kind of weird to call her the main secondary, but like for just you get what I'm saying. Then you have Momo and Tsuyu. Tsuyu got tacked onto Ochako, and Momo is technically supposed to be the second main female character until Tsuyu became more popular than her. But that's why Momo's in promotional materials, and it's not coincidental that you have those four characters being put together in one team. It's because they are the next most important characters. That's why they get specifically called out. Any Hoosers, I'm sad we didn't get closure for Kirishima and Mina. And then I think Jiro and Kaminari would be the next ones that should deserve some closure. Also, another one, I'm sad that we didn't actually get any word on Dobby. So we have this shot of Endeavor here. It's nice to know that his wife stuck by him and that he's still in a chair, I guess. But I kind of wish we could have gotten at least word. Like, how long did Dobby survive? Did Dobby survive longer than people expected? That's actually not plot relevant, but like that's a significant detail. It would have been really cool to get that. So like, you know, ignoring Izuku's flaw argument, one of the big things that I come out of the chapter feeling is just a little bit sad. I just wish we had a little bit more. But sequel series, so I'm not going to be sad just yet. The potential for a sequel series is still possible. Anyway, Shoji gets a peace prize, and then another significant shot here. You have Izuku and Ochako in the winter. You have the League of Villains book, and you have Mr. Compress reading it. Alright, so on this page, what I'm going to draw significance to. One, I'm very happy for Gentle La Brava, but imagine you are a joke character. You are Yoshi. You even have his name Yoshida. Imagine Central Hospital is such a player that they are in the same breath as other named characters. Wow, that is amazing. Like, wow. Whoa, Central Hospital. That's wild. Praise Central Hospital. Yeah, guys, come on. Like, Central Hospital, they are definitely one of the key players and making life a lot easier for a lot of Hero Academia. That was hilarious. Anyway, we also have another callback. We have Dai here. And this is the little boy that we saw in front of the All Might statue. Like, I actually really enjoyed that little touch. We have, like, pictures of Wash, so we know these guys are still in the game. That's pretty awesome. Now, at this point in the chapter, we also see that there's a lot of talk about, like, yo, there's not that many villains coming into place, and the levels of heroes have stabilized. Now, the one that said that was a student. And students don't usually know anything. There's something happening in this chapter. You say that the rate of villains are going down, but you still have everyone so busy that no one can hang out with Izuku. Also, when you look at what's going on with Ochako, they are doing an expansion project to court counseling. So see, while the rate of villains is going down, the hero program is expanding probably so much that it actually still is taking up resources. And this here, Shoji is devoting his efforts to peaceful resolutions. There are still problems happening in rural areas in Hero Academia. Like, we're still here. The world still has a lot of work for heroes. So the big thing here is that you gotta keep in mind, it's still a busy world. Also, it's nice that Eri has a friend who is Suyu's sister. I'm pretty sure that's Suyu's sister. Anyway, on this page, we get little details like where everyone kind of is on the charts. We know that Mirio's at the top, which is surprising. But you know why Mirio's at the top? Because Mirio's the kind of person that when he loses his quirk, he relies on his training. And when he loses his quirk, he still continues looking towards a bright future. When Mirio can't do anything, Mirio still tries. Remember? Like, if it wasn't for Mirio being the kind of person that would pull his pants down in front of Shigaraki when he could do nothing else, we would be in a very different ending right now. But yeah, no, you get it. Like, Mirio, you know what? I've always been a little bit more critical about, like, how is this guy going to get to the top when he can't actually deal with, like, big threats? It's like, I will give him the pass purely because he is everything Izuku wishes he was right now. But yeah, no, this was a cool little page here. Really appreciated. Skipped a few pages here, but it doesn't really matter. Like, you understand what Dai is. He's pretty much in a position similar to Izuku at the beginning of the series, you know? Like, that's pretty much what it is. We have the You Can Be a Hero shot. There was also a previous shot that had, like, a statue of Class 1A. I kind of skipped over it, but it's there. Over on the next page is where you're setting up for, like, just... I guess the best word for it is Izuku settled. He didn't bother trying to do more. He just accepted that he missed it. And he just said, well, as long as I can still do this, I'll find a way to be okay with it. It's pretty much the energy he had. Which is actually even more aggressive when you consider it. Because what All Might essentially does when he comes here at the bottom of the page and he grabs that and it's like, no, bruh. No, that's stupid. We're going to give you the actual thing. Because the reality is, like, if Izuku is given the choice in front of him of being a hero or, like, inspiring others by being a teacher, you know what direction he goes in. You see it at the end of the chapter. Anyway, you know, jokes aside, we get to the ending page, and it's actually really interesting that Horikoshi had him say this. More time to kill than ever, I wonder. It's like, Hawks is saying, like, no, man, we still busy. And now we have a landslide and all that kind of stuff, and the kids are going out to it. What's really interesting about that is just, like, the world always finds things for heroes to do. Now, you know, we're at the end of the chapter. It's cool to see everyone looking like an adult. Aoyama's back. Did we even have to say goodbye to him? Everyone looks pretty cool. I'm sad that we didn't get to see Ida's face here. But right now, there's no clear word on who Izuku ends up with, if anyone. And that's sad. I feel for everyone, you know? Like, this was a shipping channel. And there is a significance of Ochako wearing Izuku's mask piece. But I'm going to give you a hot take. I have a thought. First off, you know, if we get a sequel series, that's why you don't have any development, because they'll elaborate on it in the sequel series, if there is one. But, in this case, which of the Class 1A students got lines in this episode? Sorry, chapter. Which of the Class 1A students is the one that was at the heart of getting Izuku back in the game? Which of the Class 1A students is the one that held his hand out for Izuku? That's right, friends. It's Bakugo. And here's something interesting. Everyone that saw the streams knows my opinion on this, but look at this. Shoto and Ochako are the only two looking at Izuku being happy. But Bakugo, he's looking ahead. You know why? Because Bakugo fears no one. Bakugo has Izuku so locked up that he doesn't even care. These two are looking at Izuku because they both clearly like him. But it's Bakugo, guys. What I'm saying here is Bakugo and Izuku is the one true shit. Okay, that's a... No, I'm not going to say it's a joke. Until proven otherwise, it's Izuku and Bakugo all the way. Who would have thought, man? But yeah, no, like, think about it. Bakugo is the only one that got significance in the chapter. No one else is saying anything. It's only Bakugo. Bakugo's the one that held hands with Izuku in this chapter. It's right in front of you, friends. It's right in front of you. Also, people ask me if this Shigaraki that's down here, if this is a ghost. And I'm going to tell you something, alright? This is my headcanon. Right? The only ghosts that we have seen have been in Vestige World. As far as I know, there are no ghosts here. So this Izuku, this thing that Izuku is seeing, this is a guilt-fueled, schizophrenic episode born from the fact that Izuku had such severe brain damage that they had to shave a portion of his hair off. That's right, this is an episode. That's what I believe personally. Anyway, yeah, that's the end of the chapter. Guys, we got it here. We're at the end of Hero Academia. It was one heck of a ride. Overall, you know how I feel. I'm sad. I wish we got a little bit more closure, but years well spent. I'm happy. We'll see what else we continue with. Hopefully we'll get some good news tomorrow and we'll be able to continue some Hero Academia chats every now and again. Anyway, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this energetic review. My final words on the chapter, you know what? The Izuku that we got here is really consistent. The parallels to the first chapter were really on point. The underlying message about everyone can be a hero, still a very good message. Happy to see that everyone else lived their dream life. But yeah, guys, let me know what you thought down below. Until next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.